Calm down!
Oh, you got me with InVisGro! I'm gonna be... that!
Are we clear?
We're clear.
There are 2 cue balls!
2 cue balls? Oh, that's a relief.
See? Nothing.
Well, now I can relax and watch a freaky story.
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, Gloria. She lives across the street next door to her sister, Betty. Now, I'm not one to tell tales, but this tale is too juicy to keep to myself. From the beginning, when Gloria and Betty were little, Gloria was a bit prettier than Betty, a bit smarter, a bit better at everything, even though she was a bit younger. And Betty was always a bit jealous. More than a bit. When they were in grade school, Gloria could have been the school spelling champion. But when she was ready to spell the final word, Betty whispered to her, "There is no P in pneumonia." Gloria took her big sister's advice, spelled the word incorrectly, and Gloria lost. That's how it went all through grade school, which is why the sisters became known as Gloria the Good and Betty the Bad. And wouldn't you know, Betty heard about the nicknames and became even more jealous of her sister. In high school, there was this Jack something or other, quarterback, student body president, quite a dashing young man. Not at all surprising that he asked Gloria to the prom. But Betty told Gloria that Jack had the flu, and then she told Jack Gloria was sick. So Gloria stayed home all alone while Betty went to the prom with Jack. One might ask why Gloria maintained any relationship at all with her older sister. Truth is, Gloria felt sorry for Betty. Sorry that her sister was so consumed with jealousy. But finally, after all those years of seeing how unhappy Betty was, Gloria felt relieved when Betty bought the house next door. You see, Betty's house was a bit bigger than Gloria's, a bit more lavish, and it had a lovely garden. Now, Gloria thought, Betty would have nothing to be jealous about. The first thing Betty did when she moved in was join the garden club. I'm sure she did it so that she could show up Gloria. And dear, sweet Gloria was happy to see her sister's jealousy fade away. It was replaced with gloating. Betty got a ribbon for her magnolias and always wore it when she'd see her sister. Betty won a trophy for her begonias and put it in her window where Gloria would always see it. And Betty won a plaque for her petunias and actually nailed it to her front door where no one could miss it, especially Gloria. You would think with all these awards, Betty's jealousy would have disappeared, but no. I suppose jealousy was so much a part of Betty, it would never go away. What happened next is so Betty. She got herself a dog, Snippy, a nasty little creature who would slip into Gloria's garden and dig up her flowers. Some people, including me, suspected Betty got Snippy to be sure Gloria's flowers would not survive and possibly win a prize. Betty's success with flowers grew. She entered citywide contests, area competitions, and provincial flower shows, and she won them all. She had so many awards and ribbons and trophies, they covered her entire front lawn where everybody could see them. Betty entered the national flower competition, and she convinced Gloria to enter too. She wanted the whole world to see how much better she was than her sister. Gloria kind of knew what her big sister had in mind, but she went along anyway. That's how nice Gloria was. You see, Betty spent all her energy and all her money cultivating the most magnificent rose imaginable. Secretly, she conferred with botanists, horticulturalists, and every other ist which was against the rules. But Betty was not about to let rules stand in her way. The result of all Betty's work was a rose so lush and rich in form and color that there was no question she would win the national prize. The day before the judges arrived, Betty let her Snippy into Gloria's yard to dig up any chance, slim as it was, that Gloria could win the contest. The next morning, Betty awoke and turned on the weather report to see if there'd be enough sunshine to help her rose look magnificent. And there, on the news, was Gloria, holding a great big old bone, like one of those bones you see in documentaries on the Discovery Channel. It seems that Snippy had dug up an extremely rare brontosaurus bone in Gloria's yard, and there was Gloria getting all the attention, along with a check for $20,000 from the museum that bought the bone. This was a true story. It happened to a friend of mine, my neighbor. Gloria the Good, who was off basking in the Caribbean sun, while her sister, Betty the Bad, finally gave up trying to be better than her sister and spent the rest of her days watching Snippy bury all her trophies.
This is terrible. Awful.
No, it ain't. It's great. It's a living testimonial. What do you think?
I like it. Let's shoot it. Make up.
Right. Hey, I'm having fun. Another freaky story?
This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Billy was one of those kids who wouldn't listen to anybody about anything. When he was 5 and had the chicken pox and his mother told him not to scratch, he did. When he was 6 and his dad said never ride no hands down the hill, he did. And when his grandma told him to always wear clean underwear in case you get in an accident, well, when Billy broke his leg, he had to go to the hospital and, you guessed it, the whole family was disgraced. But worst of all was Billy's faces. Oh, he only had one face, mind you, but the things that boy could do with it. Billy always sat in the back seat of the minivan, making faces at the people in the passing cars. A couple from Medicine Hat nearly ran off the road. Billy's impression of a half-dead zombie was that good. Twins in an Oldsmobile cried all the way to Grandma's house because they caught a glimpse of his Frankenstein rotting look. And every time Billy made a face, his mother yelled, "Someday, a trick wind's gonna come along and your face is gonna get stuck like that." Well, one day, the family went on a trip to Niagara Falls. A gentle breeze swirled up over the cliffs surrounding the falls, and Billy was up to his old tricks. Everywhere there was a tourist and a video camera, Billy was there too, jumping in with a face that had cracked the lens. His classic melting monster with a pug-shaped nose and cheeks pulled back to distort his eyes and mouth. He was leaning far out over the rail to sneak into the shot of a busload of vacationing seniors when the breeze suddenly switched. First one direction, then another, then it kind of flipped and bang-o! A tourist from Halifax noticed Billy when the wind took its final twist. "Hey, little fella, you better not be making faces like that. One day a trick wind will come along, and it'll get stuck like that." But it was too late. The trick wind had already come. Billy looked like one of those horror flick monsters, only Billy was real. And his grotesque face was locked in place. The doctors tried everything. They attached special braces to his cheek muscles to get him to relax. They wouldn't. They made a plaster cast from his grade 3 picture and tried to force his new face in there. No go. They showed him educational children's programming for hours, hoping the boredom would make him slack-jawed. But his face was stuck. It was a real old-timer that came up with the last thing to try. He was watching TV in his big double wide, and there was Billy in all his glorious grossness. He'd made the local news. That's when an old memory struck the old-timer. About some kid his grandpa knew, way back in the 17-something. Kept making faces out the back of the buggy.
He keep me making ye face like that, and one day a tricked wind will come along and stick ye that way.
And he remembered what they had to do to get the twisted-up face to unstick itself. They had to find the same trick wind running backwards, and the face would reverse itself. So they harnessed Billy to a safety line and hired one of those tour helicopters to take Billy for a few turns around the falls. The idea was to skim close to the cliffs and fly backwards to catch that same trick wind in reverse. And skim they did. Billy's hair flew round, making his hideous monster face even more hideous. Little girls went screaming into their mother's arms. Little boys watched and guessed how far Billy would fall when the rope broke. The chopper swooped low over old folks. Billy's lips pushed back in the wind, forming a freaky skeletal grin. Still, his face was stuck. Then the safety rope started to twist round and round, picking up speed and sending Billy spinning at a stomach-churning clip. Then the rope hit its maximum tightness before it started untwisting back again, even faster than before. And then it happened. A breeze blew up from the cascading waters. The rope got a little giggly. Billy took one last flip to the right, and bang! His face unstuck and morphed right back to the way it had always been. Maybe even a little better. This is a true story. It happened to a friend of mine. Oh, Billy learned his lesson all right. For about 5 seconds. On the way home, he just couldn't resist one last big ghouly face. Too bad he left that window open.
I don't understand it. You said there were 2 cue balls.
Oh, yeah. Here they are.